So this is Capavia, which is really one of the great distillate producers in all of Europe, and he's sort of overlooked here. Someone took on the project of bringing him in his distillates, and he makes eau de vie, and then he also makes grappa, and this is his grappa from Nebbiolo, based from the Barolo zone. And a lot of times people talk about grappa firewater. You know, it's like a rifle shot to the head. If you think about other producers being Wagnerian, some of the great grappa producers like Levi, who recently passed, you think of it as operatic in scale. With Capavia, it's really pianoforte. It's the soft tones, it's the quiet moments that really bring about the kind of reflection I think his grappa is inspired. A lot of grappa production is somewhat industrial, but when you're dealing with someone like Capavia, who's teasing out the small fragrances, the essences of something that's quite special. When you're thinking about distillates and you're thinking about brandies, you're still thinking about grapes. And this is a good example of that. Or maybe the pips, maybe the stems. You're still talking about Nebbiolo, which is one of the great varieties of the world, by any measure, I think. And one of the things that has in spades is, along with structure, is fragrance. And if you are Capavia, you're bringing that to the fore, which is very special. I've got it, still there, thirsty little babe. I had more people that I respected from a distance. I was never really brought in. I would say that there was more instances of deciding that, like, okay, you're not going to give me that job, well, I'm going to work so hard that you're going to regret that you didn't give me that job. But there were people that really inspired me. Always from a distance, but Kat's really at Number 9 Park. Just, she did an amazing thing, which was not go along with the crowd in the late 90s. And she wasn't serving Big Cat. She was doing regional wines. She was doing wines that were supposed to go with the cuisine. She had a sense of what the cuisine was. She's still not today appreciated for how great she really is. She really focused on staff education. She made a culture of wine, which is the hardest thing to do in a restaurant, where more often the focus is on sales. She inspired a lot of people to go out and look for wines that weren't the wines that they were being told were great, but which they sensed to be very good, which they sensed that they were missing in their own lives. And she certainly did that for me. Kermit Lynch's book was very inspiring to me. I think it was to everybody. I mean, I think that half the wine importers in the world got into wine importing because of Kermit's book, I mean, to be quite honest with you. And, there's debates that are still going on today that he was one of the first to address in that book 30 years ago. Terry Thies was huge for me, again, writing. When I met Terry, he, it was cool, but he didn't do that thing where he was like, dude, I love you back. It was more like what you imagine if one of those girls had gone up to the Beatles in Wembley Stadium and been like, I love you. And he's like, John Lennon's like, that's cool. But the writing was amazing and really set in motion a whole other sense for me of how to think about wine, which is the whole ball game. How you think about wine determines everything that you do in the business. In a high school jazz concert, and another kid got the award, and he's like, well, where's that kid now? Sometimes I felt that same sense where it's like, okay, well, you're not going to give it to me, but I'm going to prove you wrong anyways. And that actually drove me more than anything, that sense that it wasn't just being given to me. I really had to prove it, and I had to work extra hard. People didn't necessarily pick me. I just wouldn't let them forget me. It seems to be important for other people. For me, I pretend like it doesn't exist. Like, I go home and I write like no one's reading, and those are the best pieces. And if I tell myself that other people are reading these pieces, I don't say half of what I think is important to say. If I really actually recognize the fact that my mom reads my blog, I just don't think I could write it anymore. Really, the blog is an inability to sleep after you've worked a busy shift. You get all adrenalized. You're pumped up on the energy of the room, and it's not possible to just go home at 1 a.m. and just go right to sleep. You can't. So you have a quiet moment, you're thinking about your day, and half of getting better is just thinking about what you did wrong that day. You know, if somebody asks you a question and you don't feel like you nailed it, why not? You know, that you ask those questions and you try to get it better for the next day, because really the service business is so, it offers you so many opportunities to have the same interaction that you can get better. It's like a video game. It's like Donkey Kong. It's like, okay, well, you got rolled over by the bridge that time, or the rolling stone came and hit you over the head. If you go this way next time, it won't happen. Sometimes you think about larger issues that you didn't have a chance to communicate to people, and you just sort of want to talk about it a little bit in a longer format that allows for that. And, the blog is free, and I can say as long form as I want, and if people read it, great, and if they don't, then, okay. I'm okay with that. I'm always impressed with people's courage to try new things. I mean, winemakers, you really see the conversation changing right now. You see people trying things that haven't been done in 1,000 years, like using less sulfur, or revitalizing grape varieties that haven't been in a place or recognized to be in a place for a long time, finding that one vine and then propagating it, like Casa Vecchia. That takes courage. I don't know what else to call it, because there's no financial market on the other side asking you to do it. There's nobody coming in every day saying like, hey, wouldn't it be great to have Casa Vecchia on the list? I've never heard of it, but I'm asking you for it. There's a certain level of chutzpah that comes out with these people. I immensely respect it.